The November rain pelted Harrods' windows as Marcus Chen stood by the jewelry counter, water still dripping from his modest wool coat. At 42, the billionaire tech magnate preferred anonymity to ostentation, dressing simply despite his vast fortune. Today, he was shopping for his daughter's graduation gift, unaware that his casual appearance would trigger a confrontation that would change multiple lives forever. Emily Harrison, a 23-year-old sales associate, watched him nervously. 3 months under Sarah Whitmore's management had taught her the unspoken rules. Serve only those who looked wealthy, discourage everyone else. But something about this quiet man's dignity made her approach despite her training. "May I help you, sir?" Emily asked softly. Before Marcus could respond, the sharp click of heels announced Sarah Whitmore's arrival. The 35-year-old senior floor manager surveyed Marcus with practiced contempt, cataloguing his dated coat, simple watch, and scuffed shoes. Her Chanel suit, bought on maxed-out credit cards, was armor protecting her carefully constructed image. "Emily!" Sarah's voice cut sharply. "What are you doing? Helping this gentleman?" "This gentleman?" Sarah laughed coldly. "Sir, Marks & Spencer is down the street. They have lovely items more suited to your budget." Marcus remained calm. "I'm interested in your Cartier collection, the Tank Française specifically." Sarah's face flushed with indignation. "That piece starts at $5,000. We don't cater to window shoppers or people who save up their benefits to pretend they belong here." Emily gasped. "Sarah, please." "This is a teaching moment, Emily," Sarah announced loudly, drawing stares from other customers. "In luxury retail, we protect our brand integrity. We can't have just anyone wandering in wasting our time when real customers need assistance." Marcus slowly reached for his wallet. Sarah immediately stepped back, hand moving toward the security button. "Paul! David! Security to jewelry immediately!" she called out. 2 guards approached reluctantly. Paul, a 15-year veteran, recognized this scene, Sarah's prejudice in action again. "He's reaching into his pockets," Sarah declared dramatically. "Remove him. He's probably casing the place." "I was simply getting my identification," Marcus said calmly. "Stolen cards, borrowed IDs, we've seen it all," Sarah shot back. "Paul, escort him out now, or I'll be discussing your job performance with Mr. Weatherby." Paul hesitated, something about Marcus's dignified bearing, suggesting a terrible mistake was being made, but Sarah's threat was clear. "Sir, I'm sorry, but you need to leave," Paul said quietly. "Your full name?" Marcus asked Sarah directly. "Sarah Whitmore, Senior Floor Manager," she announced proudly. "My performance reviews are impeccable. I have full authority over who we serve." "I see," Marcus said quietly. "And you're comfortable with your judgment, removing a customer based solely on appearance?" "You don't belong here," Sarah stated firmly. "That coat is probably from a charity shop. You saw our adverts and thought you'd warm up inside, maybe steal something if the opportunity arose." "Sarah!" Emily protested, tears forming. "This is reality, Emily. Not everyone deserves our respect. Respect is earned with money." As Paul escorted Marcus toward the exit, Sarah called out loudly, "Don't return! I'll have your photo circulated to every luxury retailer in London. People like you need to learn their place." Marcus paused at the door, looking back at Sarah standing triumphantly, unaware her reign was ending. Outside in the rain, Paul mumbled an apology. "Not your fault," Marcus told him, "but update your CV. Things are about to change here." Paul watched Marcus walk to a modest Toyota Prius in the premium section, noticing the personalized plate, Chen Ent. A cold realization washed over him. Inside, Sarah lectured her staff. "You must be firm with these people. They think they can walk in here, waste our time. I've probably prevented a crime today." Emily escaped to the bathroom, crying while updating her CV on her phone. 3 months of watching Sarah humiliate customers based on appearance had broken her spirit. In his car, Marcus made a call that would change everything. "James, move up the Harrods acquisition timeline. Finalize it today." and ensure the announcement includes a full management review, especially one Sarah Whitmore in jewelry. Back at Harrods, Sarah stood before her bathroom mirror, touching up her lipstick, satisfied with her handling of the situation. She'd maintained standards, protected her department's reputation. Some people, she said to her reflection, just don't know their place. Within 24 hours, she would discover exactly what her place was about to become. The next morning brought unusual sunshine to London, but inside Harrods, an electric tension filled the air. Sarah arrived at 8:47 a.m., her routine precisely calculated. Immediately, she noticed the atmosphere, employees huddling in whispered conversations that died when she passed. 3 men in expensive suits stood near her office, reviewing documents. Lawyers, clearly. Sarah's mind raced. Insurance claim, high-value purchase dispute. She dismissed her unease, focusing on her noon meeting with Mr. Weatherby about quarterly figures. She'd spent hours doctoring the numbers to hide how her aggressive tactics had actually driven away valuable customers. Emily was already at her station, dark circles under her eyes from a sleepless night spent applying for other jobs. "Emily, you look dreadful," Sarah announced. "Make yourself presentable immediately." At 9:30 a.m., an email appeared. "Urgent, all-staff mandatory meeting 10 a.m. Sarah frowned. She hadn't been informed, and as senior floor manager, she should have been consulted. The conference room was arranged for all 200 luxury division employees. Sarah positioned herself front row, ensuring everyone saw her rightful place. Mr. Weatherby approached the podium looking uncharacteristically nervous, accompanied by the suited lawyers and another figure remaining partially hidden. "Good morning," Weatherby began, voice lacking its usual confidence. "As of yesterday's close of business, Harrods has been acquired by Chen Enterprises." Murmurs rippled through the room. Chen Enterprises was legendary for transforming failing retailers through innovative technology and emphasis on employee welfare and inclusive customer service. "I'd like to introduce Mr. James Patterson, Chief Legal Counsel for Chen Enterprises." The silver-haired lawyer stepped forward. "Thank you. First, let me assure you, no positions will be eliminated during this transition. Chen Enterprises plans substantial investment in employee development and customer service training." Sarah relaxed slightly. Her position was safe. "However," Patterson continued, "there will be comprehensive review of all management positions to ensure alignment with Chen Enterprises' values of respect, dignity, and inclusive service to all customers." Patterson's voice took on an edge. "Mr. Chen himself has taken personal interest in this acquisition and has already conducted surprise visits to evaluate operations firsthand. Yesterday he visited this very store." Sarah's blood ran cold. No, it couldn't be. Mr. Chen believes in experiencing businesses from the ground up, visiting incognito to understand the true customer experience. "I'd like to introduce Mr. Marcus Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Enterprises." The figure stepped forward. Sarah's world tilted. The man in the simple wool coat, the man she'd humiliated and ejected. Marcus stood at the podium in an understated but elegant suit, his eyes sweeping the room, pausing on Emily, who gasped audibly, then Paul, who looked ill, finally settling on Sarah. "Good morning," Marcus began calmly. "Yesterday I experienced your customer service firsthand. It was educational." Sarah's hands trembled violently. "I learned that some among you believe a person's worth can be determined by appearance. That respect should be rationed based on perceived wealth. That humiliation is an acceptable tool for maintaining what one manager called certain standards." Every eye turned to Sarah. Her Chanel suit felt like it was suffocating her. "I also learned there are those who maintain humanity despite pressure to do otherwise. Emily, your attempt to provide service was noted and appreciated. Paul, your reluctance to follow orders you knew were wrong didn't go unnoticed." Marcus's voice hardened. "What disturbed me most wasn't my treatment, but learning this was standard practice. Customers routinely profiled, dismissed, humiliated based on appearance." Sarah stood abruptly, chair scraping loudly. "Mr. Chen, I can explain." "Sit down, Ms. Whitmore." But Sarah couldn't. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. "It was a misunderstanding. I was protecting—" "From what? A man buying his daughter a graduation gift? You didn't look like—" Sarah caught herself too late. "Didn't look like what? Like I belonged, like I had money. Please, complete that thought for everyone." The room was dead silent. Sarah stood alone, other managers physically distancing themselves. "You told me people like me need to learn their place," Marcus continued. "You had me escorted out like a criminal. You threatened to blacklist me from every luxury retailer in London." "Your performance reviews claimed impeccable service," Marcus said. "Yet I found 7 formal complaints filed against you this month alone for customer abuse. Your expense account shows a pattern of buying and returning items. Fraud, technically." "Mr. Weatherby," Sarah turned desperately to her boss. Weatherby wouldn't meet her eyes. "Sarah, I've been protecting you because I believed your results justified your methods. I was wrong." "Ms. Whitmore," Marcus said firmly, "your employment is terminated immediately. Security will escort you to clear your office." "You can't!" Sarah's composure shattered. "I have bills, my mortgage, my husband will—" She stopped. Robert had left 3 months ago, tired of her obsession with status and mounting debt, the apartment she couldn't afford alone, the credit cards maxed on designer goods. "This is an opportunity for reflection," Marcus said. "Money and status are fleeting. How we treat others defines who we really are." As security approached, Sarah's perfectly constructed world crumbled before 200 witnesses. Sarah stood frozen as the conference room emptied, her designer armor now feeling like a prison. Her hands shook uncontrollably as she clutched her handbag, another item she'd need to return, except now she wouldn't have access to the receipts she'd been falsifying for months. "This is wrongful termination," she managed weakly. "I'll sue." "Ms. Whitmore," the lawyer Patterson responded smoothly, "we have documented evidence of expense fraud, customer complaints, and yesterday's incident was witnessed by multiple employees and captured on security cameras. You're welcome to pursue legal action, but I wouldn't recommend it." Paul approached slowly. "Sarah, please don't make this harder." "You knew!" Sarah accused, pointing at him with a trembling finger. "Yesterday you knew something was wrong. Why didn't you stop me?" "I tried," Paul said simply. "I've been trying for months. Every time you humiliated someone, every time you made Emily cry, every time you removed someone for not looking rich enough. I tried." Sarah spun to face Emily. You set this up. You called him." Emily stood, finding unexpected courage. "No, Sarah, you did this to yourself. Do you know how many nights I've cried because of you? How many times I wanted to quit but couldn't because I need this job for my student loans?" "I made you stronger," Sarah said desperately. "I was preparing you for the real world." "No," Emily interrupted. "You were cruel because it made you feel powerful, because putting others down was the only way you could feel important." Marcus watched silently as Sarah's carefully constructed identity crumbled. He'd seen this before. People who built everything on superiority and status only to collapse when that foundation was removed. "Mr. Chen," Sarah suddenly dropped to her knees, a desperate gesture that made several people gasp. "Please, I'm begging you. I have nothing. My husband left. I'm 3 months behind on my mortgage. I owe £40,000 in credit card debt. Without this job, I'll lose everything." "You already have," Marcus replied quietly. "The question is whether you'll learn from it." Patterson stepped forward with a document. "This is a severance agreement. Despite your actions, Mr. Chen has authorized 1 month's salary, conditional on your agreement not to pursue legal action and to attend professional development courses on inclusive customer service." Sarah looked at the document through tears that were destroying her carefully applied makeup. 1 month's salary wouldn't even cover her minimum credit card payments. "Furthermore," Patterson continued, "Mr. Chen has agreed not to pursue criminal charges for the expense fraud, provided you make full restitution within 6 months. "How?" Sarah laughed bitterly. mascara streaming down her cheeks. "How am I supposed to pay anything without a job? No one will hire me after this." "That's not entirely true," Marcus spoke up. "Chen Enterprises owns a customer service training center in Manchester. They need instructors who can teach from experience, including the experience of failure. The position pays considerably less than your current salary, but it's honest work. You can apply like anyone else." Sarah stared in disbelief. "You're offering me a job? After everything? I'm offering you a chance to rebuild. What you do with it is up to you." As security escorted her to clear her office, Sarah passed her team, people she'd terrorized for 2 years. Some looked satisfied, others pitying, but most seemed relieved. Only Emily followed, carrying a box for Sarah's belongings. The office that had been Sarah's sanctuary overlooked the sales floor, her former kingdom. The walls were covered with certificates, celebrity photos, and a vision board of luxury items she'd aspired to own, all mockingly hollow now. "You don't have to help," Sarah said hoarsely to Emily. "I know," Emily replied, carefully packing items, "but it's the right thing to do." "Why, after everything?" Emily paused, holding a framed photo of Sarah at a company gala, looking radiant and successful. "Because you're still human, and because I refuse to become like you were." The words stung more than any insult. Sarah mechanically packed the designer planner she couldn't afford, the Mont Blanc pen from Robert before things went bad, the fake achievement awards she'd bought online. "Can I ask you something?" Emily said suddenly. "Why did you treat people that way?" Sarah really looked at Emily for the first time, not as a subordinate, but as a person. "I grew up poor in Newcastle. My father was a janitor. My mother cleaned houses. I swore I'd be somebody important." "You could have been," Emily said softly. "You're smart, organized, talented. You could have been successful without being cruel." "I thought they were the same thing," Sarah whispered. "I thought respect meant fear. I thought power meant using it." Marcus appeared in the doorway. "May I speak with you privately?" He entered the small office. "Sarah, yesterday wasn't the first time I've been treated that way. I've been dismissed and humiliated countless times, especially when starting out. The difference is what we do with those experiences." "You built an empire," Sarah said bitterly. "I built it on remembering everyone deserves dignity," Marcus corrected. "Every security guard, every janitor, every customer, regardless of appearance or bank account." He turned to Emily. "Effective immediately, you're promoted to interim floor manager. The position comes with training and mentorship." Emily's eyes widened. "Mr. Chen, I'm not ready. No one ever is. But you have empathy. The rest you'll learn." Sarah watched her replacement being anointed. "She'll fail. She's too soft." "Perhaps," Marcus agreed. "Or perhaps she'll discover what you never did. That respect creates loyalty, kindness generates more sales than fear, and true power comes from lifting others up." As Sarah left Harrods forever, box in arms, she passed the jewelry counter where yesterday she'd stood as queen. Now she was nothing, no job, no status, no future she could see. The rain had returned, washing away her carefully styled hair and ruining her makeup completely. She looked exactly like what she was, someone who had lost everything they thought mattered. 3 weeks later, Sarah sat in her empty Fulham flat, surrounded by silence and mounting bills. The elegant apartment that had been her pride now felt like a tomb. Robert had taken his belongings months ago, leaving gaps that echoed with accusation. The sold sign outside mocked her. The bank had given her 30 days to vacate. Her phone, once constantly buzzing with social invitations, had been silent for days, except for debt collectors. She'd sold most of her designer goods online for a fraction of their cost, the money vanishing immediately into her debt. This morning was different. She had an interview at Marks & Spencer in Croydon, a far cry from Harrods, but desperation had humbled her. She put on her last professional outfit, a simple black dress from before her designer obsession. Looking in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The tube ride to Croydon was a journey through her mistakes. Every station reminded her of something bought and couldn't afford, some lie told to maintain her image. At Victoria, the 3,000 handbag charged to a hidden credit card. At Clapham, where she'd once berated a station employee, Patricia, the store manager, greeted her professionally. They sat in a small office that smelled of instant coffee. "You were senior floor manager at Harrods," Patricia noted. "Why did you leave?" Sarah had rehearsed this. Restructuring after the ownership change. Patricia's eyes suggested she knew more. "I received a call from James Patterson this morning. He mentioned concerns about your management style and expense irregularities." Sarah's heart sank. "I can explain. I'm sure you can. But why should I take a risk on you?" Sarah felt genuine tears coming. "Because I've lost everything. My husband, home, career, reputation. I've had 3 weeks to think about every cruel thing I've done. I can't undo it, but I can try to be better." Patricia studied her. "Your reputation precedes you. 3 of my employees used to work at Harrods. They've told me stories." Sarah closed her eyes, knowing it was over. "However," Patricia continued, "I believe in second chances. I can offer you night shift stock management, no customer interaction, no managing staff. $18,000 per annum, working under a supervisor who's 20 years your junior. Can you handle that?" Sarah thought of her empty refrigerator, the eviction notice. Yes, I can. The offer is contingent on completing workplace behavior courses at your expense." "I'll do it." Leaving the store, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Ms. Whitmore, this is Emily Harrison from Harrods." Sarah stopped. "Emily, why are you calling?" "To see how you're doing." Why would you care?" "Because despite everything, I learned from you, not what you intended, but important lessons." Sarah laughed bitterly. "How not to be a manager. How easy it is to lose yourself pursuing image," Emily said gently. "Mr. Chen says you're one of the most capable managers he's encountered. You just focused that capability wrong." "He said that?" "The training position in Manchester is still available. $28,000, but lower living costs." Sarah stood on the busy Croydon street, watching normal people living normal lives, people she would have dismissed as beneath her. "It would mean teaching people how not to be like me." "No," Emily corrected. "Teaching from experience, the good and bad. Mr. Chen says the best teachers are those who've failed and learned." "I haven't learned anything yet," Sarah admitted. "I'm still angry, bitter. I still catch myself judging people." "But you catch yourself. That's a start." After the call, Sarah sat on a bench outside a shop where she'd once spent $500 on a dress worn once. The window displayed the new season she could no longer afford, and she realized had never really needed. Her phone buzzed with a photo from Emily. The transformed jewelry department, comfortable seating, warm lighting, a sign reading, "Every customer is valued. Every person deserves respect." Emily had written, "We're selling more than ever. Kindness is good for business." Sarah stared at the photo, then opened her email. "Mr. Chen, I'm broken. I'm humiliated. I'm everything I once looked down on. But I'm ready to learn. If you'll have me, I'd like to teach others from my failures. I can't promise I'll be good immediately, but I promise I'll try. For the first time in my life, I'll genuinely try." She hit send before she could reconsider. That evening, walking through Manchester's streets in her mind, she imagined a different life, smaller, humbler, but perhaps more honest than anything she'd known. 6 months later, Sarah stood before 15 retail management trainees in Manchester, a transformed woman. Her hair, now its natural brown, was pulled back simply. She wore a modest cardigan over a plain blouse, both from Marks and Spencer clearance. Her face, free of expensive makeup, showed stress lines, but also something new: authenticity. "Good morning," she began steadily. "I'm Sarah Whitmore, here to teach you about customer service. But first, I need to tell you about the worst manager I ever knew. She was cruel, prejudiced, and destroyed her career through arrogance. That manager was me." The trainees shifted uncomfortably, having heard rumors about their instructor's spectacular fall involving the CEO himself. 7 months ago, I humiliated and ejected a customer from Harrods because he didn't look wealthy enough. That customer was Marcus Chen, your employer, who despite everything gave me this second chance. A young man raised his hand. Why would he hire you after that? Because Mr. Chen believes in redemption through education, that those who failed spectacularly can become the best teachers if they confront their failures honestly. She clicked to a photo of herself from Harrods, dripping in designer goods, standing imperiously. This was me at my worst. I thought power meant dominance, respect had to be demanded, and I treated people as useful or disposable based on appearance. The next slide showed security footage from that fateful day. Marcus in his simple coat, her dismissive posture, Emily's distress. This moment cost me everything: job, home, marriage, savings. But more importantly, it cost me the chance to make a positive difference. She spent the morning using her mistakes as teaching tools, showing real complaint letters from people she'd hurt. Mrs. Davidson saved 6 months to buy her granddaughter a gift. I had her followed like a criminal because of her modest clothes. She left in tears, humiliated. During lunch, Sarah ate her homemade sandwich alone, something she never would have done before. Her phone showed a text from Robert. Saw you're in Manchester. The person you're becoming sounds like someone I could have stayed married to. It stung and comforted simultaneously. Too little, too late, but thank you. I hope you're happy. I am, and I hope you will be too someday. The afternoon focused on inclusive service, with Sarah playing difficult customers while trainees practiced. Our job isn't judging who deserves service, she explained. Every person walking through that door might be having their worst or best day. We control whether we make it better or worse. But what about actual security threats? A trainee asked. Sarah displayed statistics. In 2 years at Harrods, I removed 47 suspicious customers. Actual threats, 0. But I lost the company $2.3 million in sales from those customers and their networks. As class ended, Marcus Chen entered. The trainees straightened, surprised. Just observing, Marcus said warmly. Sarah, a word? In her small office overlooking a car park, Marcus said, your trainees are engaged. The feedback's consistently positive. They're eager to learn, unlike I was. Do you know why I really offered you this position? Because that day at Harrods, even at your worst, you operated from fear. Fear of not being enough, of losing control. Fear someone might discover you were just Sarah from Newcastle, the janitor's daughter. Sarah's breath caught. How did you... I investigated thoroughly. I wanted to understand what creates someone like you. I found a woman who climbed from poverty through determination, but confused success with superiority. I was horrible. You were lost. And sometimes the lost make the best guides once they find their way. Standing to leave, Marcus paused. There's a management position opening in Leeds, training and development, $35,000. The hiring manager, Emily Harrison, specifically requested you apply. Sarah stared. Emily wants me to work for her? With her. She says she learned from your mistakes, but also your organizational skills, attention to detail, ability to read people, skills that properly directed make you valuable. I don't deserve this. No, you earn it. Every day you admit your failures to those trainees, you earn it. After he left, Sarah sat as the sun set over Manchester. She deleted all her old photos. Designer goods, fake friends, the hollow life built on credit and cruelty. She began typing her application for Leeds, but first wrote another letter. Dear Mrs. Davidson, you don't know me, but 7 months ago, I was the manager who treated you shamefully at Harrods. I've wanted to write this daily since. There's no excuse. You deserved respect and kindness. I gave you suspicion and humiliation. I've enclosed a gift card, not much, but it comes with my deepest apologies and promise that I teach others not to make my mistakes. You probably won't forgive me, but I needed you to know your complaint mattered. With sincere regret, Sarah Whitmore. She sealed the envelope with a gift card she'd saved 2 months to afford. Her phone rang. Emily. Hi, Sarah. About the Leeds position. I know it might be awkward, but I believe you'd be perfect. Emily, I terrorized you. Why would you want to work with me? Because that Sarah doesn't exist anymore. She died in that conference room. The Sarah teaching in Manchester, sending apology letters, living in a studio flat and taking the bus. That's someone I'd be honored to work with. How do you know about the letters? Mrs. Davidson is my grandmother's bridge partner. She was touched. She forgives you. Sarah felt tears sliding down. I don't know what to say. Say you'll apply. We need someone who understands the cost of failure and value of redemption. That evening, walking through Manchester's northern quarter, past trendy shops she couldn't afford, Sarah didn't feel less than the diners inside. She didn't judge anyone, not the couple in designer clothes nor the homeless man with his dog. They were all just people, deserving dignity. Her bank showed $247, more than she'd had in months after paying her settlement. Not much, but honest money. In her tiny studio flat, Sarah looked around. A bed, table, 2 chairs, wardrobe with 5 outfits. Less than she'd had at 18, but somehow more. Everything here was real, paid for, honest. She opened tomorrow's training manual, Recovering from Professional Mistakes. She smiled grimly. If anyone was qualified to teach that, it was her. An email arrived from today's trainee. Ms. Whitmore, your honesty today was inspiring. I've been struggling with my own biases. Your courage facing your mistakes inspired me to face mine. You may have been a terrible manager then, but you're an excellent teacher now. Sarah saved it in her redemption folder, alongside similar messages, Emily's photo of the transformed department, and Marcus's business card with a note. The best teachers are those who've learned the hardest lessons. Tomorrow, she would tell her story again, relive her humiliation, expose her failures, teach from her mistakes. It was her penance, but increasingly her purpose. The woman who treated Marcus Chen like trash was gone. In her place stood someone humbler, poorer in money, but richer in understanding. Sarah had lost everything she thought mattered only to discover what actually did. Integrity, empathy, and courage to change. Preparing for bed, she thought about Marcus's words. How we treat others defines who we really are. She was no longer defined by cruelty and prejudice, but by willingness to change, to teach, to ensure others never made her mistakes. It wasn't the life she'd planned, but perhaps the life she needed. Her phone blinked with an email from Leeds HR, scheduling her interview. Sarah smiled, genuinely, hopefully. She'd been treated like trash by life, just as she'd treated others. Her reaction had cost her everything. But in losing everything, she'd found possibility. Not a manager ruling through fear, but a teacher leading through humility. The rain fell on Manchester as it had that day in London when everything changed. But now Sarah didn't see it as miserable weather. She saw it washing away the last remnants of who she'd been, preparing ground for who she was becoming. Her transformation wasn't complete, might never be, but every day she stood before those trainees, every apology letter sent, every person treated with dignity she'd once denied them, was a step toward redemption. The price was everything she'd valued. The reward was becoming someone of actual value. In her small Manchester flat, far from Harrods' glittering displays, Sarah Whitmore finally understood. True worth isn't measured in designer labels or bank balances, but in how we treat those who can do nothing for us. She'd learned this lesson the hardest way possible. Now, she would spend her life ensuring others learned it easier.